I 34F cheated on my now husband 34M in 2016. Now he wants me to sleep with the person I cheated on him with again, only in front of him. More info in the text. Story 1. It happened in 2016. My boyfriend, now husband, and I were in a decent place, but our relationship was stale and not as exciting as it once was. We had been dating since 2008 and have a daughter together. At the beginning of 2016 we started talking about ways to jumpstart the romance in our lives, and he talked about polyamory. I wasn't completely comfortable with it at first, but once he started explaining everything to me, I kind of got excited at the prospect of having those new relationship feelings that I loved so much, as well as being able to keep someone I love dearly in my life. So the idea was that each of us would find someone to date, someone who had qualities that we felt the other person was lacking in. My boyfriend didn't like going out to clubs, so I wanted someone who would want to go out and have fun on the weekends, and he wanted someone who we could do outdoor activities with. We both started out with Tinder, but I couldn't find anyone that wanted more than a hookup. I did not want that. My husband didn't have any luck either, so we thought that maybe eventually, but we wouldn't put a ton of effort into it. Around this time, a friend of my husband's boyfriend moved back into town and their friendship started back up quick. He was routinely at our house, and over time I started looking at him as a possibility. I spoke with my BF Huss about it, but he didn't really think it would be a good idea since the two of them were so close. Looking back on this now, I realize that I should have stayed away, but I should mention that I have a history with addiction. His friend had a secret upper problem and started giving me Adderall on tough days. I started to find myself needing the Adderall to function, so I would stop by his friend's house before work to get one for the day, and one time when I went over, it just sort of happened. I knew I was making a huge mistake, but my addict brain was justifying it for me. After about 2 weeks, my husband found out about my short affair and cut ties with his friend. We immediately started couples counseling and found out through it that we were not really ready for a poly lifestyle, and I never wanted to let emotions get involved in my relationship with him ever again. I am so very lucky that he even stayed with me, but since that time we have figured out our relationship. My husband came out as a singer to me, and we have joined that lifestyle since 2018. It has helped us come closer together and really made me look at jealousy differently. We always say that we make love to each other and have time with other people. While I was just appeasing him in the beginning because of my past transgressions, I have found that I am a bit time-wool woman and that I enjoy the female empowerment that the lifestyle has brought into my life. Now to the request, and I am sorry that this is long. My husband got back into contact with his friend last week. After talking to him, he comes to me and says that he wants to invite this person into our home and have a threesome with him. His claim is that he has seen every person I have had nice time with except this person. I'm not sure how I feel about this though. This person got me addicted to Adderall and it was hell coming off of it. He also fed my husband and I lies after the affair was exposed, and we had a couple of problematic situations during our affair. He stealth removed Protect and then justified use since one had broken. We shouldn't use anymore. He said oops and came inside even though he knew I was not on birth control at the time. So on one hand I was to make my husband happy and give him what he wants, but another part of me hates this person for what he did to me. I take responsibility for my part, but he hasn't ever taken any for his. What should I do, Reddit? How do I make my husband happy without selling out myself? Story 2. Pretty sure my husband is physically cheating on me. My husband 29 meters and I 26F have been going through a rough patch. We have been together a year and a half. We have a 8-month-old together. We recently bought a house together. We have been going to couples counseling for months now. When I was pregnant, we had this situation where it looked like he was cheating on me, but he said he wasn't. He had subscribed to 3 different dating sites. We talked it over and ultimately it sounded like a misunderstanding of a conversation we had. We had been drifting apart. I could tell. He works long hours. By the time he gets home, all he wants to do is eat and sleep. We have 2 other children in the home that are both mine from previous relationships. I started school. We stopped making time for each other. We stopped sleeping in the same bed. About a month and a half ago to 2 months ago, I noticed a change in behavior. His primary love language is physical touch. He didn't want me to touch him anymore. He stopped touching me. I would try to cuddle or hug him and he would literally push me off. With all the time he would spend at work, I figured it was someone from work, but he didn't need cheating. I started to notice him withdrawing a couple to a few $100s, which was also unlike him. When I asked, he said it was for food, cigs, and gas. We have couples counseling and he tells me he has to go back to work because he wasn't able to finish what he needed to since we had our appointment. I felt horrible. My head hurt, I was stressed, I felt alone, I was overwhelmed and I needed support. I asked him not to go but he insisted he had to. I called him to check in how work was going. It rings and goes to VM. I try again and it's the same. Which is weird because at his job he has no signal, so it goes straight to VM usually. I check his location. He's near our house. I check what is in the area. It's a martial arts place, a bar, and a massage parlor. I get my kids and go. I wait until I see him come out of the parlor. I go back home. When he comes home he talks on about work, how he's not ready for inspections, how these books he had to work on and couldn't finish. I let him. I ask a couple of work-related questions. I get ready for bed and take my younger kids to sleep. Afterward I couldn't sleep, so I decide to go and confront him. I told him I didn't want to fight and to just be honest with me. I asked him if he just went to work. He said yes, of course I did, where else would I have gone? I told him that I knew he was lying to just tell me the truth. He admits he went to the bar for a drink. So I ask him again, is that it? He said yes, that's it. I said, look, I know you're lying. He said he doesn't know what I'm talking about. I tell him I saw him come out of the parlor and finally he admits he went. But he swears up and down nothing happened. But how can I believe him after I had to force the truth out of him? How can I believe him after he lied? He only told me what I already knew, but obviously I wasn't in the spa room, so I'll really never know. One of the things he said during our talk was I just wanted someone to make me feel special again. I don't think that's the kind of feeling you get from a massage. I asked him why he wasn't honest to begin with, and he said it was because he was embarrassed since massages usually are meant as massages with a happy ending. To me, only guilty people lie because they have something to hide. Had he been honest when I asked the first time, I would be more inclined to believe him. However, I don't think his words line up with his actions. He said he's only gone twice. That the first time he was going to get a happy ending, but when she was about to do it he got up and left. The next day he came home early from work and he tried to make it up to me. He apologized, took me to Costco, Targets, and drove us around. When I would ask for something he would say yes, and a couple times he said yes, but only if I would forget everything that happened. I feel lost. I want to leave, but the cost of living is so high where I am. I was a SOM until 3 weeks ago when I got a part-time job. I'm still in school. My biggest concern is, where would the kids and I live? No way I could afford the house on my own. I spent all my savings on the house, him, and the family. For what? For nothing. I feel like if I stay again then I'm just dumb. How can I value myself so little to continue to stay again?